Mayor and City Council meeting, 6:03 p.m., Wednesday, December 2nd, 2015. To order, would you please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance and stay remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll just read a short invocation. Heavenly Father, inspire us today with the qualities of good leadership. Give us insight to make wise decisions, integrity to face the truth, courage to make difficult choices, compassion for the needs of others. Make us a model of justice and honor to the world, and let us never forget that our job is to serve both you and others. Bless us this evening with your peace and harmony and joy. We ask this in Jesus' name, amen. You may be seated. Okay, I guess we have on call to the public, Chief Bermudez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Mr. Billy, Mr. Machado, Mr. White, members of the audience. My name is Roy Bermudez. I'm the Assistant Chief of the Nogales Police Department. It's with great pride that I come here before you today to recognize two of our officers and present them with a life-saving award. These awards are given to our department for officers when their actions have an impact on the survivability of a human life. The first officer that I want to call up and congratulate and give him this life-saving award is Officer Oscar Mesta Jr. I'm going to read a little synopsis as far as to why he's getting this. This certificate is awarded to Officer Oscar Mesta Jr. for exceptional professional effort resulting in the preservation of life. The Nogales Police Department presents Officer Oscar Mesta Jr. with a life-saving award. On September 16, 2015, at approximately 11:22 a.m., officers received a report of a possible accident on 919 at kilometer 4. Officer Oscar Mesta responded and found the car accident in the median. Officer Mesta found the driver slumped over the steering wheel. Officer Mesta saw the male was breathing shallow and had no pulse. Officer Mesta started CPR on the driver and was later relieved by fire rescue personnel. The patient subsequently had return of spontaneous circulation, meaning that the patient had a pulse and was then taken to the hospital where the patient regained consciousness and was awake and talking to the hospital staff. This is considered a save on this call, being that the chain of survival was implemented by Officer Mesta and responding emergency personnel. This effort prevented the victim from continuing to be in cardiac arrest. Officer Mesta, you're commended for your actions, exemplifying the highest standards of your public safety profession. Signed, he couldn't be here today. He got stuck in traffic after a meeting in Phoenix. Signed, Chief Derek Arson, December 2nd, 2015. Congratulations.
The council and myself, we thank you. It's an honor to have you serving our city. Thank you very much for your quick thinking, and God continue to bless you and continue to be a great servant for our community. Thank you very much. Thank
you. The next officer is Officer Pedro Felix. Pedro. It's actually the same incident, but they had different roles in this life-saving award. On September 16, 2015, at approximately 11:22 a.m., officers received a report of a possible accident on 19 at kilometer 4. Officer Felix responded and assisted Officer Mesta, who had begun CPR on the driver, and Officer Felix continued with CPR until they were relieved by fire rescue personnel. The patient subsequently had return of spontaneous circulation, meaning that the patient had a pulse and was taken to the hospital, where the patient regained consciousness and was awake and talking to the hospital staff. This is considered a save on this call, being that the chain of survival was implemented by Officer Felix and responding emergency personnel. This effort prevented the victim from continuing to be in cardiac arrest. Officer Felix, you are commended for your actions, exemplifying the highest standards of your public safety profession. Signed, Chief Derek Arnson, December 2nd, 2015. Congratulations.
Again, Officer Felix, with gratitude in our hearts, the council and I congratulate you and your fellow officers for the quick action you guys took. God bless you. Continue to be that servant of this community. Thank you very much.
Sorry, Mayor, does this, we're waiting for an agenda item to retire one of our canines.
Yes, before we go any further, we're gonna deviate from the presentation and come right back to it. And we're gonna go ahead to order line number 8, number 2 on that. And we're gonna go ahead and it's consideration and possible action of order 2015-12-094. And that's an order of the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, authorizing the retirement of Nogales Police Department Narcotics Canine Thorpe. Okay, got a motion, and second?
Second.
No, any discussion? Okay, motion approved.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Mr. Dillon, Mr. Machado, Mr. White, members of the audience. Mr. Flores, Officer Flores, if I can have you and your canine up here, please, and your family. Is your wife here?
Yes.
Actually, the reason we're bringing the family up here and the wife, because this dog has been part of the family for the last 5 years.
5 years.
Yes. Unfortunately, to health concerns, Canine Thorpe has had to, needs to be retired. So you can rest in peace, not dead, but rest in peace at your home. And with that, I'd like to give Officer Flores a letter of appreciation for not only his partnership with Canine Thorpe for the last 5 years, but his contributions to the entire canine program for the last 8 years. Unfortunately, we're not gonna replace Canine Thorpe at the present time, so Officer Flores is gonna be reassigned and take his experience back to the patrol division, where he's gonna be a big asset to the patrol division. With that said, Officer Flores was hired as a patrol officer in 2005, and in 2007 he became a police canine officer, and his canine partner was, what was your dog's first name?
Juice.
Juice. And together they excelled in the new role and became a vital asset to the department until Juice was retired in 2010. Canine Thorpe became Officer Flores' new canine partner in 2010, and once again they both excelled in this partnership and have become a vital asset to the department. Unfortunately, health concerns for Canine Thorpe have brought his working partnership to an end, but the companionship will continue. Officer Flores, your dedication and commitment to the community, the department, and especially the police canine unit are commended. Officer Flores continue to exemplify the highest standards of our public safety profession. Signed, Derek Arnson, December 2nd, 2015.
You don't get a And actually, the only reason that Officer Flores is getting a certificate tonight because the plaque isn't in yet. So as soon as it's in, we'll make another presentation and awarding the plaque. Thank you for your service, officer. Thank you.
Again, we want to thank Mrs. Flores for her support and the family, making sure that Canine Thorpe had a good home when he wasn't on duty. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Going back to our regular order of business, we go into line 5 presentation, and number 1 we have the NLC service line warranties program.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Oh, John, I was going to turn over to you.
No, go ahead,
Okay, perfect. Through the National League of Cities and Towns, a program is being made available to all the residents within the city of Nogales. Ashley, is it Shawarski?
Shawarski.
Shawarski,
Yeah,
thank
it's
you.
close enough.
Ashley is here representing the company that has the contract through the National League of Cities and Towns. And just basically turn it over to her. My understanding is that this is a no obligation or commitment by the city, and it's kind of a voluntary program for residents, but something that might prove to be very helpful. And we've actually had, if Sherry Sherhammer was here tonight, she'd say that she took advantage of this same program up in the Phoenix area. But I'll leave it to Ashley to give you the details, and we'll see what direction you'd like to go.
Well, I want to thank you all for having me here today. I recognize some of you from, I guess it was August, at the League of Arizona Cities and Towns Conference. I had the opportunity to meet a few of you. But again, my name is Ashley Shawarski, and I'm from the National League of Cities Service Line Program. Our program, Service Line Program, is the only service line program that's endorsed by the National League of Cities, but also here in Arizona, the League of Arizona Cities and Towns as well. The company that I actually work for is called Utility Service Partners, and we administer the program. And we are a Better Business Bureau business with an A+ rating, as well as we did win the Torch Award for Marketplace Ethics from the Better Business Bureau. So that is something we're very proud of and really strive to maintain those marketplace ethics. But what our program really helps to do is address the public policy issue of aging infrastructure. We know that communities all across the United States really have been doing their part to either upgrade or maintain their public infrastructure, but the homeowners' portions of these lines were actually kind of being forgotten about. So that's why the National League of Cities went out and did research. They wanted to make a program like ours available to communities all across the United States, and we were the company that they did choose to provide this program. So what we do is we partner with communities to make our voluntary program available to your residents, and it provides them protection on their external water line, external sewer line, as well as in-home plumbing lines. And we provide our services with a complete turnkey approach for the city, where we handle all of the aspects of the program, the marketing, claims management, billing, customer service, and there is no cost for your city if you choose to participate. And the city actually receives an incremental revenue stream in return for their partnership as well. What I find to be the biggest benefit of our program is that it really helps to raise awareness. Pretty much every community that I speak with, I normally hear the same thing, that if a resident has an issue, whether it's on their external water or sewer line, their first calls to the city. And at that point, the city comes out only to find that it's on the homeowner's portion of the line. And then that resident is left to find a reputable contractor and foot this large bill that they either thought would be covered by their homeowner's insurance or by the city, which obviously neither is the case. So I kind of think of our program as a free public awareness campaign. All of the residents in the community would receive a letter, And the beginning of our letter really just educates them that this is something that is their responsibility and that the city has partnered with us to make this voluntary program available to them. So even if someone chooses not to enroll, at least they do know that this is something that is their responsibility. Also, it really can give your residents peace of mind. For just a few dollars a month, they're able to transfer the risk of their lines onto us, a reputable company that's endorsed by the National League of Cities as well as the League of Arizona Cities and Towns. And if they have an issue, they give us a call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and we would actually dispatch a local licensed contractor to do the repair. So that is another benefit of our program, is that we only use local licensed contractors for all of our work. We do that for many reasons, but we want to keep as much money here in your local economy as possible, as well as your local contractors should be familiar with your local codes to make sure to do the work up to the city standards, which includes getting all of the proper permits to do the work as well. As for our coverage, we do offer 3 completely separate products. We offer the external water line, external sewer line, as well as in-home plumbing line coverage. The 2 external products are very similar, where we cover wherever those lines become your homeowner's responsibility, all the way to where those lines would daylight inside of the home. And if they have an issue, they give us a call, whether it's a broken, leak, cracked pipe, just a tree root penetration, or just a clog that needs cleaned out, and then we would send out a local licensed plumber for that repair. And what your resident actually receives is up to $4,000 towards each and every repair incident. So that's something that greatly separates us from similar companies to ours, is that ours is on a per incident basis. So we do not have an annual or a lifetime limit, as well as there's no limit on number of incidents or claims someone can have in a calendar year. So the homeowner does receive up to $4,000 for each repair incident. And also, if the repair needs to be done in the public street, they receive up to an additional $4,000 towards public street repair and up to an additional $500 for public sidewalk repair. And those are all, again, on a per incident basis. And we do not have any type of service fee or deductible. We don't want a $100 or so service fee to deter someone from actually giving us a call and getting their issue taken care of. We have noticed that when someone does have our program, they're a little bit more proactive about getting their lines fixed, because they know that they have someone that would cover it and it's not coming out of their own pocket. As for our third product, it kind of picks up where the other 2 leave off. It is our in-home plumbing product, and it's any in-home water supplies, sewer, or drain lines that are in the home after the point of entry that are either broken or leaking. And this does include any lines that are embedded in a slab or basement floor and the repair of clogged toilets. And that's the same type of thing where there is no service fee or deductible, no annual or lifetime limit, no limit on the number of claims that can be filed, and they receive up to $3,000 for each and every repair incident. That actually has become one of our most utilized programs. But another feature of our program is the revenue stream for the city. What the city actually receives in return for their partnership with us is 50 cents per month per paid warranty contract. So essentially, if someone chose all 3 products, the city could receive up to $1.50 per month, and that would be paid to you in the form of a royalty every January. And communities choose to do a lot of different things with this, but most commonly, they set up some type of fund to help low-income families that are either having trouble paying utility bills from month to month, or say someone does have a water leak and has a high water payment. A lot of times the city helps offset that anyways, so this can kind of go help to offset some of those costs as well. As for the way we market our product, we only market by direct mail, so you never have to worry about us calling your resident door to door, anything like that. We simply have 3 mail campaigns per year in the spring, fall, and winter. And the only reason why we have 3 is because we do offer the 3 products. We market our products completely separate, where each campaign is geared towards 1 product at a time. The reason why we do that is just to limit confusion. We want to make sure all of your residents are well aware that they are separate. They don't have to choose any of them or any combination of them. As well as in the past, we used to market them together and someone would check the box for water but meant to check sewer. So we do keep it separate just to limit any confusion, but that doesn't deter anyone from choosing any combination of the products at any time by either giving us a call or going online. Also, all of the marketing material, before we would ever send anything out to your residents, whoever at the city would like, we reach out to you, we send you all of our marketing material for your review and approval, and we would never send anything out to your residents without your approval prior. That way you have input on the message that's going to your residents, you know exactly what's going to your residents, and then we give you an exact mail date, so you know exactly when your residents will be receiving a letter. Even if you approved our letter 3 other times and the next fall campaign rolled around, we still reach out to you before each and every campaign to make sure that everyone's still on board and you don't want to make any changes to the information going out. We also really try to provide the city with a lot of different tools to limit as many calls to the city as possible. During that initial campaign, there will be some calls to the city just verifying that this is a program that you're participating in. But we will provide you with a customized press release. You can put it out at any media source of your choice, just letting your residents know they will be receiving something in the mail, that you have partnered with us to make this program available to them. But most importantly, all of our information to call with questions. And we also can provide you a customized web banner to put on your website or any social media pages. That way it has our information to go to give us a call or go online with questions, and we'd be more than happy to answer that for your residents. Also, once we partner with the city, we really try to be as transparent as possible. Well, all of our current city partners have access to an online portal that has up-to-date, real-time stats specifically for your city. It lets you see the number of homeowners enrolled, specifically the number of homeowners enrolled in each product, as well as the number of claims filed. It also lets you keep track of that accruing royalty. But most importantly, every resident that files a claim receives a customer satisfaction survey, and every survey that is returned, good, bad, or indifferent, is uploaded onto that portal. That way anyone here can take a look at that at any time. It really helps us, as well as the city, keep track of our local contractors doing the repairs, since they are the ones out there doing the work. They're the face of our company. We really want to make sure they're doing the work up to our standards as well as yours. So if there's any type of issue, we can take care of that very quickly. And to date, we are partnered with over 290 communities across the United States. But here in Arizona, we have 9 different partners. And I have them listed in there for you, but I think we're partnered with Phoenix, Mesa, Avondale, Jerome, Tucson, Green Valley, Kingman, Globe, and Fredonia. I think that's all of them. All right, and I'm sure that you all have some questions, since I've been rambling off to you for the last few minutes, that I'd be more than happy to answer.
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
You mentioned here, it's gonna be a fixed rate of $20.49 for the 3 services, sewer, water, and plumbing.
Correct. For our water line cover, they're separate. So for our water line, it's $5.75 per month. Sewer is $7.75 per month, and in-home plumbing is $6.99. If the resident pays annually, they receive about a $5 per product discount. But if they wanted to cancel anytime throughout the year, they just receive a refund for the premium they didn't use.
But that's guaranteed for just the first year, huh?
So our pricing is pretty standard. That is typically, we haven't had a price increase in a while. But if the last time we did, any of our members that were already enrolled kind of were grandfathered into that price, so their price didn't increase. But if there was any type of increase, you definitely would be notified of that before it would happen.
So the residents can drop out at any time because
Correct.
they don't like the price increase, they can.
Correct. It's always month to month for the resident. They can cancel at any time.
The other question that I have, since you're dealing with a community that has a lot of old connections, over 75 years old, especially both water and sewer. And the sewer sometimes they have to actually do a new connection to the city main because of maybe old piping or it's not even sold anymore in the store. But when that happens, does this product take care of it?
Correct. As long as if they have an issue that they come out and the plumber says that it needs to be completely replaced, a lot of cities do have material that's not even allowed to be used by the government anymore. So if they get in there and see that, then obviously that would have to be replaced.
As an example, like maybe some trees were planted along the line and they have to remove that line of travels because of the roots and everything going directly into the line. And the plumber recommends that they take a different course. Would it still cover that?
Correct. It wouldn't be covered if it was only just to move it, but if they were having an issue caused by the tree root and then they needed to move it, then that would be covered, yes.
Is there anything that it doesn't cover? I mean, like if once something breaks, or like say in a two-story house where they have their plumbing line going up the sheet rock or the 2x4s or rafters or whatever, and a line breaks, and does it take care of it?
Correct. It doesn't cover the damage to the home, because that's covered by your homeowner's insurance, but any of the pipes inside of the walls would be covered, as well as the lateral lines, whatever the resident's
Well,
responsibility
that would be
is.
replaced.
Correct. Repaired or replaced depending on what the plumber recommends. Yeah, and we don't tell the plumber what to charge for their service. They're able to charge their standard fee for whatever they typically charge for that.
$3,000 or $4,000.
Yeah, they're able to charge their standard fee. We don't tell them what to charge. The only thing is to join our contractor network, we do go through a vetting process. We make sure that they're local licensed, have the proper insurance, they're bonded, as well as they don't have complaints against them, and we do background checks to make sure that it's someone that your residents feel comfortable with coming to their home and inside of their home.
Any more questions on this presentation? Well, I'll tell you, it sounds almost too good to be true. I think it's very reasonable. The plumbing costs and, run nowadays, even if you pay a couple $100 a year, probably for 2-3 years, I don't think there's been a time since I don't have a problem within 3 years of some kind of plumbing going wrong. And that would probably easily pay for those 3 years and maybe a few more, and we end up with the bill. But it seems like a very reasonable product.
John just wanted me to let you know that with our partnership, we send out the letter to the residents, and it does include the city's logo and then either a signature from an elected, appointed official, or the city as a whole. Just letting them know, it's the beginning of our letter is very educational. Then it lets them know that the city's introducing this program that's endorsed by the National League of Cities. But make sure, it definitely states that it's a voluntary program and that we're providing the service.
Well, you have a good stamp of approval, I'll say that much. It gives us kind of some relief.
Yeah, your state league did the research for you as well, so.
It saves a lot of background checks and what you have to do. But I thank you for coming over.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for having me.
So, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just to let you know, she has provided me with a contract. My intent was after this presentation, if the council so approves, I'll bring you that contract in the January meeting. And I'll bring you the contract for approval in the January meeting, unless you want to take, I don't think we can take.
I don't think we have, it's just discussion.
Right.
And
I'll bring it in
possible
the January meeting, Mr. Mayor.
You can address it in the near future, though.
Sounds great.
Put it in the agenda.
Perfect. That'll be a perfect time for our spring campaign, so. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ashley.
We'll try to get on it as soon as possible, because I'm sure there's a lot of residents that can use your service.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. I guess under the presentations, we have in number 2, a report of Mexico City trip in September by Councilman Diaz.
Oh, yes, it's more or less an update that we're going to present to Mayor and Council and the public. As far as what has been going on since our trip to Mexico City, what connections we've made, follow-ups, and the importance of following up with all the leads we have and continuing our partnerships with the people we met in Mexico City, and maybe in the future have them come up or send another group down there to say, hey, we're still here, we're still interested, and we still want to work with you guys. So Mr. Aaron White will do a brief presentation here. Right? Yeah, so he'll give us an update on what's been going on and everything we've been doing, so turn it over to you, Eric.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
If I may, thank you for bringing the item back onto the agenda. So you had the report in your agenda packet from, I guess it's almost 2 months ago now, but an update regarding some of the leads that we found while we were down there. One of the biggest leads that we found out about, kind of got ahead of the curve, was Pro Mexico, which is it's basically the Mexican federal government's economic development arm in the United States, has set up an office in Phoenix. And so we went up there shortly after we got back and met with him. Before, I think he still had a folding table in his office before it even got kicked off. And he is confirmed to come down to Nogales on January 21st and speak to the Port Authority representatives there. We'll get feedback from the business community as to what is needed and what kind of partnerships can be formed here in Nogales through that agency, as well as get a tour of the Mariposa Port of Entry and get caught up to speed as to all the things that this area has to offer. So that was one. Number two was we almost immediately received a new business lead from a software company that has contracts with the likes of IBM from Mexico City, looking at opening up shop here. We've been in communication with them. It'll be a long haul process. It'll probably be several years until we see anything really come to fruition with that investment, but we're hoping that will continue to move. And then also when we were down there, so we met with two other state trade offices. So we met with the Arizona State Trade Office. And I think more than anything, that was an educational piece to understand what the state is doing there. And I think it all came into light when we visited the Texas Trade Office. When we went to the Texas Trade Office, we realized that Arizona really has a black eye when it comes to Mexico and Mexico City from a business point of view. And Texas has been the winner, the recipient of us receiving a black eye. And so the Arizona State Trade Office is taking good steps forward in helping to mend that relationship that Arizona has with Mexico City. And so that's with them, with the Arizona Commerce Authority and others, continuing to put some Band-Aids, build that relationship back up to what it was before fiascos that came down 5 or 6 years ago. And then finally, we met with the Iowa and Kansas State Trade Office when we were there, and we are following up on opportunities to increase our meat export industry through Nogales. What we learned from them more than anything was that most of their meat products from the Midwest are going through Laredo ports of entry, which are congested and backed up. And so we are putting some final touches on some promotional things that we can send to them to say, hey, Nogales is your opportunity to get out of the congested ports in Texas and come through Arizona. And there's a huge demand for their products in Sonora and Sinaloa. And so this seems to be a pretty easy connection to make there. And so that was my brief update as to some of the leads that we've gotten. And we'll continue to work on them, and looking forward to that trip from Pro Mexico down here on January 21st. No, I apologize, I missed one more. We also met with the USDA Trade Office while we were down there, and we are planning on hosting a USDA trade seminar here in Nogales in March, April timeframe. As I've been talking to the representatives in Monterrey, they have said that they've hosted these seminars across the border, but not here in Nogales. And it's been a huge benefit to importers and exporters. And so we're hoping to get them here and working with local organizations to help build some support and attendance for when they come in the springtime.
Any questions? Yes, Vice Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, Aaron, very good report, pretty comprehensive and thorough. I see that you gave us good key takeaways, so we knew exactly what you did, but you also identified action items that followed. Could you run through those and just update us on what's been done with each of those action items?
They're rather lengthy. Do you want me to go through all of them or just
Yes.
some highlights? All of them? And so if we look at the Arizona Trade Office in Mexico City, we've already met with Pro Mexico. Number 2, we've already provided that data to the Arizona Trade Office. Number 3, I have connected the Nogales Customs Broker's Office with the Arizona Trade Office, the Port Authority Chairman, Mr. Guillermo Valencia. This last one, the Mexico Minister of Agriculture, Jose Calzada, that one has proved a little bit more difficult. So we're still working on that one. Let's see here. Next up, so I've been in fairly constant conversations with USDA Trade office staff in Monterrey. What we learned there was Monterrey really is the trade office that we need to be working with. And so we're trying to create that good working relationship as we move forward. Let's see, the U.S. Commercial Services. I think you can see Senator Flake's office is down here all the time as we continue to work, especially on transportation corridor issues. And then, let's see, Eric Nielsen, the state director, and Christian Richardson are the state directors. I unfortunately have not been able to meet with them yet. So we did meet with Pro Mexico. Select USA I have not been able to meet with yet. NADBank, I think we have a representative there today at the NADBank conference. So that one continues to move forward. And the Department of Commerce, talking about integrated power opportunities, we see that already happening with the power exchange being built towards the west part of the town. With Iowa and Kansas Trade Office, we're making those connections with the local brokers and the trade office, putting the final touches on those on that information. XM Bank, I have not been able to follow up on that one yet. And number 3, continue lobbying state legislature to fund Arizona Trade Office. That one is a political issue that you all will have to determine if it's worthwhile or not. And then with the Texas Trade Office, the question is, do we want to continue, do we want to try to renew interest with the Board of Governors Conference and the Board of Mayors Association? That one, I haven't been able to do anything on that yet. And continue singing that song of Governor Ducey. So I think we're moving forward on many of the items, especially the big takeaways.
Thank you.
So,
And on the Board of Mayors, I've been reaching out, and it's a little slow, but we're hoping to get something established this coming year. So it's important to get that thing going again, where we can be working together and be on the same page about the border community, especially here in Arizona. Any other questions?
I just want to thank Aaron for doing such a good job and keeping those contacts by keeping up and calling them and staying informed of everything that's going on. I think that's going to be very good for the city of Nogales. So, thanks a lot, Aaron, for all the hard work you're putting into this project. Really appreciate that.
That's very important, and we need to work together a little closer with the mayor's office on those things, because we're both reaching out to the same people, and we need to stay on the same page. So, thank you very much, Aaron. I guess that's all the questions. Okay, well, thank you for your presentation, and it's encouraging, and keep up, we need to keep that information, staying in contact, staying in the loop with all of them. And so, I guess the next, I guess that takes care of the presentation. The next one is we go to line 6, discussion items. And we have, the only one is discussion and possible direction on how to initiate search of a new city manager. Vice Mayor, you put that on this?
Thank you, Mayor. With our last meeting in not having renewed the contract for the city manager, I believe it's incumbent upon us to start the recruitment process to find a replacement for Shane. Because we're a new council, I think we probably would need to select a consultant to assist the council develop a recruitment process. I think the consultant would help us develop, I guess, consensus and coming up with the qualities or characteristics we'd want in a city manager to help us lead the city forward in a direction that we all would like to see the city move towards. We'd also have to come up with some sort of a marketing strategy, and where are we going to, where do we want our city manager to come from? Develop the qualifications, characteristics, what kind of experience we want in the individual. Also, I think the community has to play a role in that process, and I think a consultant would help us develop a strategy on what role the community would play. Just looking at the city of Tucson, for example, they had a firm assist with selection of candidates that were presented to mayor and council. Mayor and council created a citizens committee to interview and screen the candidates and then present a select group of the candidates for mayor and council to interview, and ultimately they chose the candidate that they wanted. So that's what I think would help us in moving this process along. It's going to be an arduous task, and I think the sooner we get started, the better. So my recommendation is that we would direct staff to come up with a process to select a firm that we could work with to start the recruitment process.
Sounds fair. I think that sounds very reasonable.
I'll second that, Mayor. Was that a motion?
I'll make that a motion.
Okay, and I'll make that a second.
All right, I guess it's open for discussion. Along those lines, all I'll say is that, like I said, I think the sooner we put that in place and underway, time flies, and we want to make sure that we have the process in place. I guess if anybody else wants to comment on it? Yes, go ahead, Councilman Diaz.
Mr. Mayor, what kind of process has been done in the past? What has been the process in the past? I've never been through hiring a city manager.
Right, I haven't been here. I think I came after you, so I have less experience with the past. But we have a councilwoman.
I don't recall we ever hire a consultant. Never that I recall.
You just put in the newspaper to advertise for the job, put the job description, you put it entitled to, requisites and stuff.
Okay, so we have different, and that's good. That's what we're here to discuss it and bring out, and even though, I don't know what a firm would charge, if it's not too steep, it sounds reasonable. But I kind of like the way they set it up, but we could probably get some decent candidates maybe, and get a committee, and get all the information, the background and everything, and let them work their way through. Could probably make a good recommendations to this council. But there's different avenues. I don't know if we want to put one in motion tonight, or just open it for.
There's a motion already
Mr. Mayor.
in a second,
in
in discussion.
Oh, that's right, for the discussion and whatnot of your, well, okay.
Mayor,
The only thing I would ask would be, we don't want to, when you said I always think about the price tag on things.
Mr. Mayor, there isn't a price tag at this moment.
Yeah. So we just got.
The motion on the floor is to start the process to bring firms before us, at which time firms would make proposals to mayor and council on what they would be doing. That's when they would present a price tag, and if the price tag is something the council is not willing to undertake, then you vote no. If it's something that you feel is important that we should move forward with, you vote yes. most cities today go through a process where they hire a firm, they develop consensus amongst us in developing the qualities we want in a professional manager, and they go out and beat the bushes across the US, or if we determine that we only want to focus on western United States, or if we only want to focus on Arizona, they will go out there and do that recruitment process for us. Right now, we don't have an HR director, so you know, if mayor and council wishes to advertise in the paper and see what kind of candidates we get, so be it. But having been a manager, having gone through the process, that's the way it's done normally in other cities.
And it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. Like, now that we've cleared up the price tag on that, it's just a matter of more of a direction that we move in. Anybody else want to?
So right now, it's kind of like, how much is it gonna cost, and then we make a decision, right?
Right, definitely. Well,
You know,
it's
like
just
others
headed in that direction, and the cost is gonna come up down the line. And then we can decide whether we wanna go with
Depending
that.
on the cost.
Right. So, I see no further discussion. We'll put the motion on the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. And we'll head in that direction. Okay. Going to line 7, consent agendas, A and B. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second?
No discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, motion carried. As we go into line 8, orders, number 1, we have order 2015-11-091. And I don't know if we have any comments tonight. Here are county representatives. I don't know if we want to discuss that a little further. But I'll just put it out. It's our part on doing you know, our behalf, the commitment we have with the county, with the shelter. So I'll ask for a motion to approve some more.
Second?
Okay, thank you very much. We have a motion and a second. Open for discussion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to, I guess, get an explanation on how the overtime got so exorbitantly high.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. I'm Carlos Rivera. I'm the county manager, and I've also said Jennifer to come down and answer some questions if you have any. But to backtrack when all this started, when the rabies cases started spiking, the county reached out to the state to seek some assistance. With the help of Senator D'Alessandro, we were to get the attention of the state vet's office, Game and Fish, and USDA. When we reached out to them, because we knew the cost was going to be pretty steep, the answer we received basically was, we don't have any money, county, you're going to have to do it all. I think the only assistance we had was a part-time worker from Game and Fish to do some trapping and releasing, and I can tell you that the number of animals that they trapped and released was minimal. It really was no assistance to the county, so we had to bear the cost entirely. When the word got out that rabies was at an extremely high level, our staff was faced with more calls than usual. We also started doing door-to-door campaigns in the areas that were impacted. There's a large number that occurred in the Tubac area, northern Rio Rico, the city of Nogales, and the Sonoya Patagonia areas. So we did door-to-door campaigns, gave out flyers. We put on a total of 3 rabies clinics in each area, which those are all done on weekends to the benefit of citizens, because they all work, they all have jobs. So each one of those items incurred an additional amount of overtime that the county staff with additional volunteers, and I don't know how many volunteers Lucille had, but he can tell you that we had a lot more volunteers and workers there to keep the costs to a minimum. But it was a year-long process. And I'm also here to tell you that the numbers are starting to go up again. I think there was a positive rabies case. One of your city attorney's dogs was involved in killing a skunk at his house, and that skunk came back positive also. So it's starting again. Don't know exactly how high it's going to get. We're not declaring a quarantine yet, but that may happen depending as the numbers progress.
And can I ask a question? Since you already experienced this past year, high cases of rabid animals, do you have anything in place that would lower the cost in case it reached that epidemic high?
There is no easy way to address this. We have put on a number of rabies clinics already to try and address that matter now. We did one in the city 2 weeks ago, last week. The week before that, we had one in Rio Rico, and before that, we had one in Sonoita, I believe. So that is really the best prevention as far as exposure. But informing the public, you know, we've put information on the newspaper. But a lot of times people don't read it. They think that I won't be exposed to it because I'm not involved with wildlife. Well, that doesn't happen. If there's a rabid animal in their property, they don't behave normally and run. They will go after anything that moves. So we try to make sure the public is aware. They've gone to Walmart, giving out flyers. Like I said, they've gone door to door to affected areas. We've asked the newspaper to print articles related to that to try and make the public aware, because rabies is 100% fatal. I mean, there's only one case that an individual survived without a series of injections, but this is a public health and safety issue. So as far as the county's perspective, it's very important to make sure the public is aware of this potential exposure and danger.
Aside from the rabies clinics, can we do some kind of propaganda out to the public to let them know, maybe keep them in schools and reach out and whatever it is that we need to advise them on, keep their animals enclosed, or you know, something that we can put in place, and mechanism.
Mr. Mayor, we can try and do that, and maybe the city could assist us, but maybe putting some flyers in the water bills or something to that effect, something concerning rabies and signs, symptoms, and the importance of getting your animals
So maybe put out a few more rabies clinics out, more than the past.
Well, and there again, it adds to the overtime because that's typically done on weekends. And I mean, we can do those things, but I'm just saying that there is an additional cost no matter what.
But you have the cost figured out already pretty much. It probably falls in the general area most of the time in China Clinic. The cost of it is probably pretty similar.
Yes, yes, Mr. Mayor. And Mr. Mayor, just to add to that, regardless of the amount of information that we put out, the clinics that we put on, a prime example is the case that just occurred in Tubac, where the resident decided to pull the skunk off by the tail. That's just a no-no. You don't do that. And this individual was not a child, it was an adult.
You don't do that for a number of reasons.
So, I mean, we can do everything that there possibly is out there for PR, for awareness, but you're still gonna have some situations like this.
Yes, Councilman.
Have you ever thought of doing clinics at the public schools? That you're gonna reach masses there, because the kids are gonna tell their parents.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Costa, no, we haven't done that. We've done presentations at the schools.
Okay.
But we haven't done clinics at the schools. I'm not sure they would agree, because we would have people on their property that have no relationship to the school. So I don't think that would be something they'd be willing to entertain.
Plus the concern that there might be an accident. There's so many animals that sometimes they don't interact well.
Yes, dogs fight, they take off running, they snap at people. That's probably not a good setting that they would want their children to be in. So, I mean, we can talk about it, but I'm not sure that's an exposure that we want to create, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Vice Mayor?
I had a few more questions. Mr. Rivera, when you were contacting these other agencies for assistance, did you notify the city about the potential high increase in overtime?
God, going back sometime.
I mean, I can ask Shane. Shane, was the city notified that we're gonna be looking at a big increase in OT?
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Members of the council, not to my recollection, but I need to go back through. Obviously, we were all aware that there was a quarantine, that there was a rabies issue, but the impact of that, I don't think was on our radar, in terms of what that was gonna be. I don't know if it was gonna be on Carlos's radar until the end of the year when they got the numbers, but.
Well, I'm sure the finance director was probably keeping track of the overtime. Were you at any time alarmed about OT, Ms. St. John?
Ms. Arrow, members of the council. I did not directly point out OT to my knowledge to anybody other than Officer Pena. But again, just in discussions, knowing that everybody was aware of the quarantine, I guess that was maybe not the best decision on my choice, but Mr. Pena and I were in constant discussion about it, and the board had, issued the quarantine, so I assumed we were all on board with the additional cost.
So what was budgeted for OT last fiscal year?
15,000.
15,000,
if I recall.
and we went over by 135, 100.
Well, 56,000 on the overtime.
Okay. And what's budgeted this year?
I believe it's 15,000 again.
And Mr. Rivera has already indicated that we're looking at another banner year.
Yes, the numbers are going up, but as of this point, we're not anticipating declaring a quarantine.
Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
And Mr. Mayor, just to add another thing, when in the discussions we had with the state vet's office, the only other possibility was using rabies vaccination packets that they've tried in other communities. What it is, it's an airplane drop of these packets that are baited that contain the rabies vaccination in it. But the estimated cost on that was going to be at least $250,000 to $350,000 with an effective rate of maybe 5 to 10%. So that wasn't even considered a possibility. And when this did occur, we informed the board of supervisors that we could not put a price tag on this because we didn't know exactly how bad it was going to get. And just as a point of information, the information we're getting from the state vet's office is that this year is not going to be the worst year. 2017 is going to be a very bad year. So it's going to get worse.
Yes,
One more question. Would this be something that could be declared a state of emergency and maybe seek funds that way?
Possibly, but since it's in statute and it's our responsibility, I'm not sure that it'll fly. But
But when it exceeds our financial capacity, which is usually when you declare a state of emergency, then you can draw upon state or federal dollars.
Well, unfortunately, we hadn't exhausted all our resources, and we didn't. So, I mean, it could be a consideration going forward.
I was just wondering about those packets that you were talking about. They were airdrop?
Mr. Mayor, yes, sir.
And so the low percentages because not everybody would pick up on it.
No, the vets that were involved in the discussion indicated that they weren't exactly sure. It could be that the amount consumed was not effective. It could be that the type of vaccine that they were using wasn't addressing the type of rabies that was out there. They couldn't give us an answer, but they basically said it's really a waste of time and money. They tried it in, I believe it was in Coconino County. Was it Coconino, was that?
Yes.
And it was it a fox variant there?
Yes, it was.
It was a fox variant that was infecting the skunks also. And they said it didn't impact the skunks. It would impact other animals, but the skunks for some reason had a very, very low effective rate. So that's not an alternative.
Any more questions? So the only thing go ahead.
I just have a quick question. I remember a couple of years ago, I saw it at Walgreens. They were selling rabies shots that you administer yourself. Is that a possibility of people buying their own and injecting their own animal?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Diaz, I don't think that's allowable under state law. I think a vet has to administer the rabies vaccination. There's other, I think you might be referring to the parvo and corona shots that you can
That might have been
administer.
it.
Those you can buy at a typical drugstore and administer yourself.
So I was kind of.
I don't believe that rabies is one that is allowed. It is controlled.
The only thing I just, my suggestion to staff would be to make sure we stay in the loop with the county, that we're on the same page, to get a little more communication this year, reaching out and making sure we're aware of what's going on, kind of keep us informed. And for some reason, one doesn't hear from the other, I would appreciate it if the other one made some contact as soon as they feel it's time to, or else I guess the council will be asking a report on it. But we need to be informed and see, at least see if there's anything else we can do. Do you have any recommendations? Hopefully we'll be having some more meetings together with the county. We could always bring that up in the future.
Well, one positive result out of this, Mr. Mayor, is that more and more of your citizens and ours are getting their animals vaccinated. More licenses being issued, so the numbers are up.
That's good.
Not, the revenue side is not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the vaccinations that are being administered. And so there's fewer animals being exposed.
And if anyone can think of more ways to make that a positive direction where we can reach our citizens and the community to take this more serious and get those vaccinations. Maybe that's what we need to kind of reach out to.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Carlos, as it relates to things like putting insurance in our utility bills, that grabs over 5,000 homes, right? So at least on our end, that's always a possibility. Just takes a little, can we do this month or whatever, and we're happy to help out that way. As it relates to our IGAs that we have and things such as the library program that we administer, if our commitment is that if we get into a situation where we're looking at being overrun on our budget, or we need to do something to reduce our budget, our commitment is to make sure that that's communicated and we're trying to work that way with the county. It'd be great, if we just move forward that way.
And we're hoping that all the skunks die off that are rabid, so we won't have this problem.
Well, I appreciate you bringing all this information on and making yourself accessible to us. I think that pretty much everything. Anybody else have any more comments or questions that you'd like to make at this time? No? Seeing none, again, we thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. St. John.
Mayor, I'd like to move to approve order number 2015-11-091.
You already have a motion.
Motion.
It's been motioned.
We have a discussion. And we'll just go ahead and vote on it. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. That motion carried. We're gonna go ahead and skip number 2. We already took care of Canine Thorpe. And go to number 3. Consideration and possible action of order 2015-12-095. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, do we have any discussion? No? Seeing none? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it, motion carried. Going to number 4, we have order 2015-12-096. Do we have a motion to approve?
Second.
Yeah. Open for discussion? Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, can I see some of the bids that were put out? Was it put out for bids or not?
The city did go out and secure from a couple of different contractors bids. We found that Day's Excavation, who has helped us with a number of projects over the last couple of years, was the most competitive. We've got good working experience with them. That's what's in front of you now, but we can certainly provide you what we've done and what we did to get to this point.
Okay. Later on, if you give me the.
Sure. Although we don't have, at least John, did we get anything from, in terms of the funding sources, the overweight funds?
We didn't receive anything from the fresh produce, did we?
I received something in writing by Jimmy Chamberlain.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, but not officially a letter of support. It's just email, just supporting the project.
Either way, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, that's what's before you tonight. The funding source would be overweight monies to take care of this project. The project itself, in its design, is a complete reconstruct of the road. We're going to try to get, what that means is we take all the asphalt off and then we reconstruct the base, so you'd have 4 inches of AC over 4 inches of, or over 6 inches of base. It's the same detail that was used on the Gold Hill Road project that includes the heavy truck traffic and the movement. We felt as staff that would be acceptable given the type of vehicular movement on Old Tucson Road. We don't know how far up in terms of North Grand Avenue we're going to be able to go. We're currently trying to work with our local state ADOT group to find out if we can take it all the way up to Grand, that section that's within their right of way. But either way, this is the bid that we have, and we move forward per your decision tonight.
Oh, go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, Shane, I know on the overweight fee application, they identify the roads that those fees are to be utilized on those roads. Is this one of the roads that's specifically mentioned on that permit?
Yes.
But just so we're clear that we're not limited to.
That's not my question.
Okay,
Mr. Charles.
just so we're clear.
I'm very clear.
All right.
I just want to make sure staff is clear that if it is one of the roads that's mentioned on the permit.
It's an overweight permitted road.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kessinger, for that information. I guess the only thing that Dave's construction company, we've used it in the past. Were they used also in that section of Gold Hill Road?
They're the ones that did Gold Hill. They've also done that Mesa Verde Drive. They did the Coronado subdivision for us. They've done a number of projects.
It seems like their work is
Very fast, and they seem to be responsive. If they've done something and they need to correct it, they're out there taking care of it.
Okay, so any other questions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes, motion carried. Going to, let's see, number 5. And it's, again, consideration and possible action of order 2015-12-097.
Move to approve.
Okay,
Second.
motion to approve, and a second. Open for discussion.
Any questions for staff? It's a lengthy agenda item. It's tied to our ability to move forward with bond refinancing for the 2006 bonds. The MDA approved it yesterday and brought it forward for your consideration today. This step is necessary in order for us to get the authorization from council to move forward. We have had some last-minute discussions with our finance advisor and our bond attorney. Given the WIFA loan that we have and the drawdowns, there's some limitations on the amount of money that we can bond out in a calendar year. I think we've got the green light in moving forward tonight, so we're hoping to get an affirmative action from council.
Mr. Mayor, this was all presented in a previous council meeting, correct? This was the stuff that.
All this information, yeah.
Just want to make sure.
All right. Any further discussion? See no further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
And now we go to line 9, ordinances. Number 1, consideration possible action of ordinance 02015-12-007. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, open for discussion.
Yeah.
See?
Can you run us through this one? Jacobs, just a minute.
What this is, Mr. Parada, is just simply the authorization so that Mr. Jacobs, in his administrative duties, can create manuals and requirements regarding the disposal of fat, oil, and grease into our sewer lines. It's just more clarifying that he has the authority to do that.
The question that I have regarding this, when the manholes, how do you control that when you have people that pick up the septic tanks and they drop it on our manholes? How can you control
What they drop
what
into.
you drop into it?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Mr. Vice Mayor. Mr. Paz, so in terms of septic haulers, the city doesn't allow, we don't have any licensed grease haulers in the city of Nogales. The only hauler that we have approved in the city of Nogales is from Tucson, Cal. They pretty much do all of the Nogales schools, the restaurants, and those things. They collect grease. Was that, and in terms of limitations, so for our septic haulers, we have a designated location for our septic haulers to dispose in, and we collect a fee for that. It's a locked manhole essentially, but to answer your question, I think we really don't have a mechanism unless we were to lock all our manholes, including Rio Rico manholes, and in addition to Keno Springs, we've actually found folks that have done that. Yeah, we do. Oh, the effluents also tested, right?
It's unlawful for anybody to deposit that in any other manhole than the designated one. But to try to guarantee that nobody dumps in anything other than that, we would literally have to either have somebody monitoring each of the manholes 24 hours a day, right? Or we would need to lock them all, and it's just not feasible. When we do get word of a violator, I mean, we certainly follow up on that, and there are mechanisms in place to be able to test to see, yeah, it came out of that truck, or no, it didn't.
Have we had a problem with that from that?
In terms of fats and oils, we have a good pre-treatment inspector, and he's really good about going out, and he's actually gone and evaluated all the restaurants, everybody who's required to have an interceptor, as well as a new development coming in for restaurants and those types of things, so he can assist them with sizing and inspection, and walk them through the process of what's required. But in terms of having actual problems, our sewer department does a really good job of maintaining the sewer line, so we haven't had any what we call sanitary sewer overflows, SSOs related to fogs or fats, oils, and greases. But this will just be another mechanism to help create that transparency with what, and a guide too for our pre-treatment officer to follow in the process.
What will it affect?
What will the fats, oils, and grease? So a lot of times what it'll do, it's like your arteries almost, you eat a lot of fat.
Okay, let me readdress my question. No, I was going in a different direction.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I mean, by passing this, does it affect the residents? Does it affect the?
No, I mean, this is essentially going to be complementing our ordinance, our code that we have existing. This will just add to that, another level of transparency to how we, calculate the interceptor size, the grease trap, or what's required based on the business. On commercial, yeah, right, commercial, not
So it's a
residential.
mostly commercial.
But there is a code for the grease pits on every restaurant in the schools.
That's correct.
There's gotta be.
Right, and what we're actually finding is during that process over the last 3 years, we've actually encountered a lot of folks that have the interceptors, but didn't realize they had them on their property, so they've never, pumped them. And so they've done, sometimes they go septic. And so those are kinds of things we want to, prevent, and we want to prevent those greases, fats and oils and greases getting into our sewer collection system.
All these commercial people like
Tucson Tallow.
they recycle, don't they? Make biofuels out of it? And
They
all that?
do. They're actually, we had an incident maybe a year or two ago in Nogales with a restaurant, but they come in with 3 tankers, and I think, at a time, going through the whole city, pumping them and loading up to the larger tankers and hauling them to Tucson. You're right. We actually researched them a lot through Pima County, and Pima County has actually come down here with us, walked us through some of the inspections, but they're actually one of their, how can you say it's, more qualified or more respected grease haulers in Pima County. And they actually do most of southern Arizona, as far as east of Douglas and those communities as well.
So it's actually profitable to recycle.
For them, yeah, right, sure, yeah.
So there's an incentive there not to dump it into your.
Yeah, and so, going back to that incident, that's what we suspected. So we did some, we were doing some research. We found that no, in fact, they were doing it correctly, and they were maintaining their manifests. And so those are some of the things too that this will also help us with the manifest and making sure, they're certified and we're getting, good quality companies here in license to do that.
Okay, any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And since it's unanimous, may I have a motion to waive the second reading?
Make a motion.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we're done with the ordinances, and now line 10, executive session. Do I have a motion to go into executive session? Okay, so moved, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. We're back on line.
Yes.
All right. Okay, well, ending executive session, coming back to regular session. Line 11, city manager's report.
Mayor, just real quick, and members of the council, we're excited about the Holiday Light Parade coming up Saturday. Just wanted to put that reminder out. It's on our website. It's blasted all over the place, and we're really excited about that. Again, 6 o'clock to 8 p.m. on Saturday. We already mentioned, but next Wednesday, December 9th, is the joint governing board meeting between the city council and the board of supervisors here at City Hall at 3 p.m. We did have a pretty fruitful discussion with the county today on finalizing the agenda. It doesn't appear that there's any material changes to the agenda that we've already put out to you as a council, so that's what to expect by way of a discussion on those various points.
I have a question.
Please, yeah.
Did we put the elections on?
No, but we will.
But we will.
Okay, well.
I think what we wanted to do was just generally talk about IGAs. And we had talked about that a little bit. That would cover the library, animal control and elections. Right now, it's more specific just to library, but I think we'll try to modify that before the final agenda gets out, just to include more broad discussion on IGA relationships with the county. And then, what's that?
And I received an email from Carlos, and they're requesting an item on the agenda also.
Different from
Is
our
it appropriate
conversation?
now to talk about it?
Yeah, please, yeah, just to give the council a heads up. This is in addition to what we talked about today?
Correct.
On our
He came back and said they want to discuss the future plans of Palo Duro Golf Course.
The Palo Duro?
Palo Duro.
Are they interested?
Huh?
Remember the
flood.
The floodplain people wanted.
Oh, the flood thing.
Yeah.
Remember they wanted to do some flood control?
There weren't certain holes though, I think.
Sitting on my desk right now is the NADBank grant agreement, the CAP grant agreement for the Crawford water line or water main replacement, $500,000 grant. The timing of that, I put a memo in each of your boxes. The timing of getting that grant agreement signed and the schedule that you have for meetings this month didn't really play well together. And so unless I hear a concern from any of you as a council, I'm gonna go ahead and sign that and then bring it back to you in January for ratification. But we've talked about this and it's, obviously it's not worth delaying. So talk to me about that before Friday at noon. If you do have a concern with that, with that course of action. If I don't hear anything from you, then what we'll do is we'll bring it in front of you in January for ratification. Along with that, we do have scheduled or anticipated bringing to you in January the Bureau of Reclamation grant, $300,000 grant that's going to kind of dovetail with the WIFA loan, the surplus on the WIFA loan, to go towards the meter replacement program that we have. Remember, our meters are so antiquated that it's really affecting our rates. And so if we get that taken care of, then we don't have to adjust the rates as dramatically. So all of that's kind of helping things out. So that's all good news. Also, I put in your box the fact that Standard & Poor's also just recently renewed their rating for the city of Nogales at AA. We're helping and putting together a press release from the mayor's office to go out to the community on that. That's all very good news for a community our size and situation to have that kind of rating and to maintain that. The years that we have is pretty significant. And then finally, we've got the employee holiday luncheon scheduled this month, Thursday, December 17th, from 2:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. The plan at this point is at 2:30 we would shut down the city buildings and allow employees to participate in that. They would work through their lunch during the day, and then at the end of the day they would come and enjoy a little holiday festivity. And the location is still being worked on, but we have finalized the date and time for that. And appreciate all the support that you guys have given in the past and participating in that and rubbing shoulders with staff and telling them how much you appreciate it. It always goes a long way. So with that, I think that concludes my update to council.
I guess our on line 12, future agenda items. Now, this will be for what meeting?
January.
The January.
There is a study session scheduled on the 16th, study session. And that study session is tied to the OPEB liability recommendations. It is just study session, there's no action, but that's what we've put out to the retiree group and the union group and the employees.
What date?
The 16th of December, Wednesday.
And in connection with that, please read that, the information that we sent out to all the retirees as you requested. Sherry and I and Jane, everybody put in a lot of time into that, trying to simplify it and put it down as clear as we can. So it's all there. If you have any questions, let us know beforehand.
We've opened it up to the employees. We provided a way for them to submit questions in writing so that we could respond to them in writing and make sure that we're tracking that and getting those responses out. And we'll respond as we get those questions. If they have clarifying questions about the information we provided them, we want to be responsive to that.
They're all being notified about the meeting.
And what time is that?
It's in that information that we put out to.
Why did you give the information to the employees about give any questions and so forth? Because I talked to some of the employees that haven't got any information if what they're going to meet or anything, any information at all.
We sent it out last week.
I got mine.
That was in our
Yeah,
box.
everybody got it.
No, I know, but the
I got
employees,
mine.
the retirees, I talked to someone said, nothing says.
Retirees or employees? Which ones? Retirees
The
or?
people that are retired already, they're on.
Okay, not, okay.
It was mailed.
It was mailed.
Yeah, because it really applies to
It was,
them.
it was mailed and then we put it in all of your boxes too.
Mr. Mayor,
Have you received anything, any responses, any questions?
I'd have
at
to
this
follow,
point?
good question, I'd have to follow up with HR and finance, and we set up a specific, a unique email address, so people could go to that, and it wouldn't bog down anybody's inbox. So I just have to follow up on that and see where we're at.
I talked to Sherry just recently, we hadn't received anything.
Yeah, I checked it yesterday. We
To
have-
make sure that the employees are aware about the meeting so they can have an input. It's very important for me to have to know.
They're retired, especially.
Tired, yeah.
We don't want to come and say.
Again, we put it out, we did open enrollment last year, so we had all current information in terms of the mailing addresses, and that's where we sent it. I think what we really need to do is, as we're rubbing shoulders with some of our retired employees, we need to encourage them to help us get the word out, because, I mean,
But I don't know what else we can do, we mailed it to all their addresses.
Can we arrest them and bring them here?
I mean,
Maybe that's
A good option.
You're summoned to here.
Either they're not reading it all the way through.
Oh, I'm positive there's gonna be people here that say
It's
that.
what I
didn't
get
get
in
it.
that, there's no response, nothing's being notified, stating that there will be a meeting, that they're invited to attend, to come up with some options or suggestions, whatever. That section there has not been filled out to all of them. It's been them outside the.
It has, in the notice that we sent, in the
notice.
notice we sent, it says when the date of the study session is.
Date and time,
And then we also
location.
put the email in there, if you have
Right,
any
that's,
questions.
okay, that's the one I got today, I guess. I had the information, there was a movement from another date to another date to have the meeting.
No, we haven't moved the date, that's been set.
What you got was for the Mexican council members that are gonna go to the Public Works.
No,
Oh,
not
Marcia
that.
City Sanitary.
No, if I may, when I originally reached out to the council members back in early November about a number of meetings coming up, we had mentioned tonight at 4:30 the possibility of a study session with the retirees. The notice went out from the legal department stating the 16th at 4:30. As a result, I put that packet together with a memo stating that that meeting wasn't going to happen tonight, but it wasn't going to happen on the
That's the
16th.
one I got today.
Yeah, that was the one I put in the box.
But the retirees didn't get that.
Yeah.
There's no confusion to them, they weren't given 2 days, they were just given 1 day.
Yeah.
Last week,
That
when
was
we
only
mailed it
phone
out,
call.
they were given the date.
We got 2 days, but they got 1 day.
Right.
Right.
And we just figured with all the holidays going on, it was better just to do it there on the 16th, so.
Councilman Diaz, Rojas.
Thank you, Mayor.
I don't know, it's other hand over there.
Shane, I was wondering, could we put it on the newspaper as well, maybe a week before, just as a notice? Just, it throws us off when these guys come over. I mean, and I know that staff and.
We didn't know, no one told us.
Yeah, nobody told us, you know what I mean?
There's a point there where you're gonna have to tell these people, you know what, our
Yeah.
staff mailed it, and.
Well, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
Joe, we'll just say, you know what, we mailed it, I mean, and we're all aware of it. We mailed it. And, by the way, we also put it in the newspaper, we put a little ad there with the information, just as a backup, just so if anybody stands up, we can just address that. You know what, it was in the newspaper as well.
Well, we posted, but
Yeah.
if we want, we
Put it on
could
radio.
post the agenda.
Yeah, we put it on the radio. There you go. We put it on the radio, it was in the newspaper, and we sent a memo. And we talked about it in the council meetings.
15 prior meetings.
Yeah, 15 prior meetings. And we're gonna address it.
Okay, we'll do that.
Yeah, rest is there.
That's it.
And you can always ask him, and if you felt that strong about it, why didn't you get on the phone and call all your friends?
All the retirees.
All the retirees.
Mr. Mayor, for
Yes, sir.
for a future agenda item, I'd like to put the vice mayor position on the future agenda item. I committed to doing it a year, and my year's up.
Okay.
That's a shocker.
Too much work.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, all right.
Too much pressure.
There's such a thing as a realism. With a bonus.
Okay, so, any other future agenda items?
We're gonna double your pay.
Being none, do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved. Second.
No discussion?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Aye.
Good night.